I said Sean Rye East. I'm proud. I said Sean Rye East. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
All right, guys, phenomenal afternoon. You are now tuned into Sean Rye East once again. This is the $1 Billion Brand episode. I'm so glad to just be able to pop up real quick on you, right? Because that's how we do sometimes. Sometimes we just have to drop in. This is not the Breakfast with the Brand. This is not the Leadership Live. This is not the fireside chat. This is just the pop up on you because sometimes you need to just have somebody pop in on you. So watch this. I was having a phenomenal conversation with Dr. Linda, who is my pleasured guest, and I'm honored to host her. And we were having a call about education and the educational system. And I was talking to her about going live and sharing some of this wisdom that she has and some of this experience that she has with the people. And she was a little bit nervous about doing that. I said, Sean, I don't really understand the algorithms. I don't know, how to actually go live and X, Y, Z. So we're going to attack a couple of different things on this call. We're going to attack confidence, matching your competence. A lot of you guys have a ton of competence, but you're not so confident and you're not sharing that wisdom with the world. We're going to address that today. Another thing that we're going to address is the educational system that a lot of people see as being broken, and I believe that, Dr. Linda, you're one of those people, don't you? Well, first, let me just say welcome to the $1 Billion Brand. How are you doing this phenomenal afternoon?
I would like to thank you. I'm doing well. Excuse me. I'd like to thank you for inviting me to have this opportunity to have a conversation about two different things I'm in love with, branding and education.
Very good. Very good. So again, guys, be nice. Because this is Dr. Linda's first time going live, so be nice. Be nice. We are live, Dr. Linda, just so you're aware, we're live on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, in 2 different places, as well as YouTube. So, of course, I had to explain to Dr. Linda, because if you've been watching me for any amount of time, you've seen my background change a couple different times. Right, you've seen my background change a couple different times. There's different places where I've been, different backgrounds that we've used, and this is just the latest background. So I was telling her, I said, you don't have to be perfect to start. but you have to start to get to a place where everything feels perfect and it just fits. So if you guys know, you know a little bit about my history. Always say that I started my business in the basement of a job that I hated with the BlackBerry. I didn't even have an Android. It was a BlackBerry. But what I did have was the heart to help people. And Dr. Linda definitely has the heart to help people. So Dr. Linda, tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, who you serve, and why you serve them.
Well, I'm just a young lady, born and raised in Best Side, Brooklyn, in the Albany Projects, right? Who have a desire and a calling to be a voice for the voiceless. I feel very strongly that Black and brown children are not getting their just due. People don't see their genius, and they really don't know how to educate us. So, and based on my experiences as a student in the New York City Department of Education, that some of us get lost because of that.
Wow. Wow. Okay. First, let's talk about your education. What is your educational background?
Well, I have I've been in school a lot. So I have a bachelor's degree in elementary education. I have a master's degree in early childhood education. I also have a master's in guidance and counseling, as well as the supervision and administration certification, and a doctorate in educational leadership.
Now that's a lot of education. So if I heard you correctly, you said you have 2 master's degrees, correct?
Yes.
Very good, very good. Supervisory education certification, and then a doctorate in education?
Educational leadership. Yes.
Educational leadership. Well, I feel like I'm in good company because those who know I have 3 master's degrees and I'm in a couple of doctorates myself. But it's interesting to hear that the educational system is broken from someone who had so much education. So help our viewers understand why you say that.
Well, partly it's because some of my experience, right? So as I'm going to tell my age right about now, but as a child in the 60s, my parents decided that it would be best for me to maybe not go to my neighborhood school and go and be bused out to another district in New York, in Brooklyn. And what I found from that experience, that at that time, I wasn't well received. And when I say that, because I'm a vocal person, I talk a lot, and I'm an advocate for lots of things, and I've always been that way since I remember. So if I see something wrong and I question it, sometimes adults didn't appreciate that. And particularly when I went from my neighborhood school to this new school, because the first thing that I questioned was why I wasn't going into the classes that my friends were going into. They stopped me and said, "Oh, no, you're not going there. You're coming here." And I was like, "Why am I going there?" And then they shared with me that I had taken a test in the summertime and my level went up. So they were putting me in another class. So I was like, okay, but I didn't think they appreciated that too much, that I questioned them. And then what I will say, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about this, was very impactful to me, even as an adult. I don't remember much of my 5th grade experience, because that's when I was bused to go in 5th grade. And I didn't understand why until when we were cleaning out my parents' basement. And my brother found an old report card of mine. And he said to me, he's like, "Linda, I thought you were always smart." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And so he showed me the report card. And the report card was a whole lot of red marks with that I didn't do well. I was like, wow. I don't remember. And I will say to you, I don't remember it, but I can tell by that was a traumatic experience for me. And so, yes, that has given me even more of a need to try to make things better for our kids.
Very good. And are you saying that you received those failing marks while you were bussed out to another demographic?
Yes.
But inside of your own demographic, you did exemplary? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So are you saying that the criteria or the critique or the standards of the educational system were higher in a different demographic than they were within the urban setting?
I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is that probably it was a time, right, in the 60s. And so people were getting used to even the integration, right? So I think that was part of my experience. But being an educator, I still, some of those practices are happening, right? So I can't say that it's because of the newness of it. I just think that people have some misconceived perceptions of what our children can do and be.
Very good. Let me bring the people a little bit forward now. There was a time when I wasn't in education, so I'm in adult entry. I had a later adult entry back into education because when I was younger, me and education had a love-hate relationship. I think they didn't love me and I hated them. We had a love-hate relationship. However, I have experienced education in different demographics. I have experienced that myself. I'm a product of the same kind of situation. And I can remember being in schools with non-Black or brown children and education being valued very highly. And so as a young, impressionable individual, I did very well. And I prided myself on doing very well because education and school was seen as a high-level action, high-level opportunity that children were supposed to excel in. However, when I came to Harlem, when I came to New York, it was a little bit different wherein, now this is all Black and brown because I always have to clarify the old Harlem, not the new Harlem, the old Harlem. So before gentrification or any of that stuff. And then education wasn't looked upon as highly for the Black male child. The Black male child found themselves in acting out, being adverse towards education and authority in general, and being cool. It was about how well we dressed. Whereas in another demographic, it was about how well we read. And then in another demographic, it was about how well we fought and how well we dressed. So very different value system, very different educational system. And this was maybe, tell them my age a little bit, probably 30 years. Maybe a little bit more than 30 years ago, right? So I can understand the disparity between different demographics. Let me ask you this. When you say broken or in need of, and we're going to go to a break real quick, but when you say in need of change and alchemy, in need of transformation, why do you say that?
Well, because from my research, a lot of my research, I'm noticing that there's no change, right? The same problems existed in the 60s when I was in school, so 2023. So it's not about new initiatives or new reform, it's about changing the system. And I call it dismantling the educational Mount Rushmore, because I see it as that. I see it as this big embedded rock that is hard to penetrate. But I don't think that that it can't be. It's going to take some time, and if you're using a chisel, it's going to take a lot of time. So you might have to have some jackhammers to do that.
Okay. Very good, guys. We're going to go to a break real quick, and when we come back, we're going to dig deeper into this alchemy education with Dr. Linda Green. Thank you so much again, and we'll be right back. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Sean's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and just love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
His energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Sean is the bomb.
I don't talk theory, I don't talk hyperbole, I don't talk opinion. Nothing I talk is anything but evidence-based.
During the G-Circle retreat in Atlanta, I had the pleasure and the honor of listening to Mr. Sean Raiz. He will not only impact your organization, but he will elevate your team to another level.
When you change you, when you put you into the equation, the whole system is different. I guarantee you, you got the right thing. You are the right person. If you can present yourself in the best way possible, there's no negotiation.
His energy is infectious, and I have so many takeaways from the presentation that I can't wait to get started and implement them today to see the result.
All right. So we are back. Dr. Linda, let's dig a little bit deeper into this alchemy and this transformation. What changes do you see? First off, what needs to be dismantled and what needs to be replaced?
Well, a lot has to be replaced. Well, in my I'm writing a book, and so part of the research that I am doing in terms of the book, looking at the system, right? I call it an ecosystem, right? And looking at the educational ecosystem, which starts with the federal government and the U.S. Department of Education, and it ends with schools. And so I was looking at what effect each of those biomes that I call as well impact on the students ultimately, because that's about what we're about, children and the schools. And what I found is that the system is broken because it's too massive, number one, and there's no connections, right? There's no interlocking of systems, of biomes. And so because of that, everybody's working in their little silos, and so they have their own interest. So the interest of the children is really not getting down to where it needs to be, which are in the schools that are actually getting dictates and policies that they have to implement that are not necessarily for children. And so it has to start really at the government level, the Department of Education, the United States Department of Education, the State Education Department, and as well as this is the biomes, right? The State Education Department, after the Department of Education, U.S. Department of Education, the State Education Department, you have the colleges and universities, then you have the school districts, and then you have schools. And so those are a lot of layers that you have to go through. Right. And so that's the biggest problem. And so in terms of alchemy, to go back to the alchemy piece, I actually have I'm developing a leadership style, which it will be inclusive, so that it's not just a perspective. Each perspective is different. It's a collaboration. And through collaboration is where transformation comes.
Very good. Very good. What I'm used to hearing, so let me just, social promotion. Social promotion is a term that I am acquainted with. Another term that I'm acquainted with is school to prison pipeline. So I've had some people come on here before and talk about the school to prison pipeline and how school doesn't prepare you to be competitive in the Black and brown communities to really achieve wealth in this country, as it's more set to be subservient, be a subservient position, check a box, clerical, in some form of service to other demographics that might be educated in different areas where the topics of education might be business ownership, economics, things of that nature. So it's higher, it's different levels of education, different criteria of promoting and qualifying, and then underserved populations kind of being ushered through or smashed and pushed through a system that doesn't really serve them to the highest degree so that they could realize their full potential and maximize their opportunities. Does any of that resonate or ring true, or what part of it?
I think all of what you said rings true. There's one thing that I want to add to that is that it's not only Black and brown children. We get it the words I'm going to say, but it's more about economics. So there are children in rural areas that are not Black and brown who have the same demographics as happening in urban schools, but no one's talking about that. Basically because of the way that they group us. Right, so it's like black people supposedly have the lowest, Black children have the lowest reading rates, right? However, there are Black children who read well, right? Who go to college. So where they're being put in the mix, right? And then in terms of the white demographics, they say, oh, they're doing well, but what about those students who are white who are not doing well? So it's the way that we're also assessing and actually disseminating data that are also giving some misconceptions as well. But I do feel that what happens in Black and brown areas, whether it's in rural or in urban areas, is that I hope I'm not going to step on people's toes when I say this. It's still that slave mentality of the system, right? So we were never, ever meant to be educated as a people. However, this being a part of the country, right, we have to be educated. So I feel that in people's minds that we're not capable, right? But we've shown them, but people still have these biases in their head, right? So it's about changing people's perception of what Black and brown children can and cannot do.
Very good. And you I guess you suggest to change this how?
Well, initially I was thinking we have to start at the top, right? Which is the United States Department of Education. But once I realized that that's such a massive system that I think we should do that, but I don't think that's where we should start. I think we should start where we have more influence. And I think that's at the college level, the district level, and the schools. Because those are the three places where it's most impactful for our children.
Very good. Very good. How do you feel about going live? How comfortable do you feel now? I wanted to help you. I wanted to bring you down to the deep end and kind of help you learn to swim. But I mean, after going live and talking about your topic, something that you are so passionate about, and you have so much qualifications and you have so much certification and education in, do you feel more comfortable now?
I'm still a little nervous, but I'm getting there. I mean, I do know my topic, right? I know it well. I have a lot of years of experience. I do a lot of research. I have a lot of background educationally, so I know my field and my industry. It's just that for me, getting in front of people is like, oh my God, people are gonna make their their view of me, right? And then I get nervous because in my head, because it's all about the head, right? My head says, oh, or what are they thinking about this? Or what are they thinking about that? And then so you don't become your authentic self. And so this entire time, I would say to you, my strategy is to keep in my head that I got this. You know, be authentic, be who you are. And so it's I feel a lot more comfortable than before you went live. I will say that.
Good. Very good. I'm so glad to hear that. Guys, comment, go ahead. It's okay. Comment and tag Dr. Lisa in the comments and let her know how phenomenally she's doing. Because she is doing phenomenal. She's tackling a very razor-edged subject that is deeply ingrained in not only our, but some would say the country, but definitely the community's future, and not just one community, but every community. So it's a very heavy topic that we're talking about, and it's not easy to approach such a delicate and volatile topic, right? Because we're all products of it in some way or another, and we all have children in the same situation. So that's why, as we were talking about it, I said, no, we just gotta go live. I gotta help you come out of your shell. That's one of the things that I help people do. I help leaders become brands and match and mirror their competence to their confidence so that they feel more comfortable in their authentic skin, because it's not about us, right? As the freedom fighters, as the champions of, social justice and pushing an initiative to economically empower a disenfranchised people and all people, it's not about us. It's about the person on the other end of the service that we provide. And when they are the focal point and when they are the main consideration, then a lot less consideration is given to our personal likes, thoughts, opinions, and self-doubts, right? So I just wanted to bring her live, make sure it was comfortable, kind of edify that and kind of usher that in. She will be back on Different Breakfast with the Brands, which come on at Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard. Every Saturday we do that. But I wanted you to know, Dr. Linda, that you did phenomenally. You did phenomenally well.
Thank you.
That we're thankful, right? We're thankful and grateful for your contribution and for your research and for your passion to help children of all nationalities to overcome a system that might undermine them or might not serve them to the highest degree possible. So thank you for that.
And thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. And please do feel comfortable. We're going to do more of it. You'll be back. I just wanted you to see how easy it is, because when we're concerned with our ideal client and their transformation or alchemy, as you put it, it becomes less and less about us and more about them. So we're going to pay some bills real quick, and we'll be right back with your closing words. All right? Let's grow. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Sean Ra'is. I'm proud. That's Sean Ra'is. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. So let me ask you a couple questions, very pointed before we close, Dr. Linda. If a parent is watching this, if a parent of a child is watching this and their child is struggling in school, public school, what should they do?
Wow, there's a lot of things they could do. First and foremost, I'm going to say go to my website because I can give them some answers, right? And my website is www.hmdconsult.com. Sorry. And I will be able to answer some questions. I definitely will be able to do that. But in terms of the school, what they should do is go to the school, speak to the assistant principal or the principal, and find out what services your child could have, in terms of getting some extra help. And the other piece is if you think that that's something, your child is not the only child and that there may need some professional development for teachers or for the leader, you can also give them my name and my website as well, because I can help them in their school as well.
Okay, so you provide services not only for the children or the parents of the children, but also the administration.
Yes, teachers and administrators, educational leaders, as well as the teachers. I provide consulting, professional development in terms of leadership, how to structure it. I have some frameworks that I used as an administrator myself, as a teacher leader myself. And I also was a coach, and I never said this, a coach and a staff developer in terms of literacy, so I can help schools with that as well, and to work with teachers as well as the school leader. Sorry.
Very good. No problem. It's okay. It's all right. Tell me about the recent, one of the most recent endeavors that you're doing. You said something about collecting data on retention as well as, so what is the focus on the retention? What do you think the problem is with the retention? I know there's an extremely high turnover in the educational space, so sometimes children lose connection because their teacher keeps changing.
Mm-hmm.
So what tell us about that a little bit.
I'm a part of a group, an organization called ATE, who's actually looking at teacher retention. And because we don't really know what the answer is. Why are people leaving? Why are teachers leaving? There are probably multiple reasons. But what the reason why we're doing this is to find out what solutions can happen. And so I feel that part of what we need to do is a number of things personally that we can do right now is to actually talk to the teachers, find out what their needs are. I think a lot of schools leaders are not really asking that question. They have their own dynamics to deal with, but they're not really asking that question. What can I do to help you in what you're doing? I think that COVID created, I'm going to say, hopefully a temporary situation where there's a lot of mental illness that's happening among our young people that we're not trained to deal with, right? The teachers are not trained to deal with it. The school leaders are not trained to deal with. And that's I think part of it. I don't know that to be a fact, but it's just some conversations that I'm seeing on Facebook with some groups, teacher groups that I'm involved in, and that's a lot of what they're speaking about, the mental anguish that some of our children are having at this point because of being confined for such a long period of time, losing people that they and don't know why, and the understanding around that. So we have a lot of work to do.
I agree 100%. I think we're going to close with this question. How do you feel about the seemingly overdiagnosis and prescription of medication kind of coming from an educational setting where you see a child maybe not interested, maybe a little bit more active, maybe a little bit less active. And from this activity that's noticed,
Sean, your voice, I can't hear you at this point. You're
maybe something that leads it leads to a therapy, then it leads to a diagnosis, the diagnosis leads to a prescription, and the prescription leads to a stigma. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, our special education system needs revamping too. I'm going to say that. I think that everyone who is a part of the special education unit in a school may not need to be there. I think that there are some strategies that can happen in classrooms, in a regular classroom, that can help. I will say, me as a teacher, I've had some challenges in my classroom with students, but I always was able to go back to knowing who that child is, what their needs are, and try to work around that. In my whole career, there's only been one student that I had to tell the mother, please put him back on his medication, right? And the only reason why was because it was interfering with not only his learning, but the learning of the other children. I'm not a proponent to medication. I don't like taking it myself. But in that instance, I was like, I think that in order for him to get the best out of this year, he's going to need to be there. He cannot function without it at all. Right. So there are some children who need it, but for most part, I don't think that most of the children need it.
All right. So we've touched on a lot of things. We've touched on a lot of things. A lot of them are inflammatory. Some of them are a little bit, conflict oriented. But this is a sensitive topic. And the reason why I peppered Dr. Linda, just kind of give her your love, guys. The reason why I peppered her with these hard questions is because she's attacking a hard topic. And these hard topics can have conversation around them. As a matter of fact, I think we need to attack the hard topics first. As you stated, with the Mount Rushmore or the Rock of Gibraltar, we need to attack these things first so we can begin to have a much better conversation around education, educational leadership, and the educational future of our children.
Yes. I agree with that. It's one last thing I would like to say about that is that I think that there are a lot of people who have good intentions and they really want to see change. I just think that the system in itself kind of prohibits some of that because of some things you can and cannot do, some knowledge that you don't have because it's not taught. So I think that when we look at it come together, I think we need to look at all aspects of it. And that's why I decided that the whole entire ecosystem needs to be involved.
Very good.
Because that's the reason, it's the whole system.
Very good. Thank you again, Dr. Linda. Thank you for being a guest on $1 Billion Brand. I'm glad to have had this segment. It came about so organically. And I hope that you feel extremely comfortable and extremely confident because you are extremely competent.
Thank you. Yes, I'm better.
Very good. Guys, comment below if you like this. Comment below if you want to see more of it. We appreciate you on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. And this has been another edition of the Pop-Up Coaching Corner. Let's grow. Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Sean's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and just love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
His energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Sean is the bomb.